All right. Let's get everybody rolling in here. And we'll get started. I'll wait about 5 minutes before we get started. That way everybody gets some time to get in here. And we can start then. There we go. Some people are rolling in. Perfect. Teak, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Nice little surge here, pre-market. Oh, there goes the alarm. Otabian, good morning. Tiffany, good morning. Terry, good morning. Joshua, good morning. Shane, good morning. Good morning. Look at you early birds. Look at you early birds. Nancy, good morning. PZ, good morning. Ed, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Gonna wait about 5 minutes just to get everybody in here. And then we'll get it rocking. Mackenzie, good morning. Good morning, Colin. Yes, Nancy's on the smash the like button team. Smash the like button if you guys are here. Wendy, good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, which means it's only one day till Friday. So pretty exciting things going on here. Brad, good morning. Zahabe, good morning. Early bird gets the worm, that's right. Havish, good morning. Binu, good morning. Nice. Got everybody tuning in here. Oscar, good morning. Let's wait a few more minutes and then we'll get right into it. Stan, good morning, man. Take a look at Valley. 650. Nick, good morning. All right. We got a total of about 46 people in here and only 12 likes. Go ahead and smash that like button. Mehnaz, good morning. Shanti, good morning. Nice. We got people tuning in here. Exciting stuff. It's Thursday. Our long-term portfolios are taking their ass kicked. But nothing we haven't been to before. All right. Wait 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. 8:35. We'll get it rocking. Aviji, good morning. We should get that. Oh, we got that. We got the core PPI. All right. So we got the initial job claims. Jobless claims were 437 versus the previous. Sorry, 473 versus the previous 566, which is a good thing. and we forecast, the forecast was 490. We're actually under that by by a bit. We're at 473. Core PPI numbers are good as well. So not bad news. That's a good thing, at least coming into today's session. So smash Edgar, good morning. Scott, good morning. All right. Mary, good morning. Scott, good morning. Okay, guys, so let's get into it. Obviously, the jobless claim numbers came out, and the initial jobless claims, core PPI, all these numbers are out. Not the greatest, but not there's no bad news, so that's good as far as that's concerned. Let's take a look at the SPY, and obviously what we do every time we come in here, assess the market, assess the QQQs, and kind of take it from there. Okay, so you guys can see here, every time we get extended, we pull back. And where do we pull back to? We pull back to that 50-day moving average. All right, so back in March 2021, we had that pull back into the 50-day moving average, which we held, and then we continued higher, came back to it, continued higher. Here we are again today. A little bit of an increase in volume in the selling side. We did bounce perfectly at that 50-day moving average. What's going to happen today? Two of three scenarios, or one of two scenarios can happen. All right, we can kind of have a sideways action day, or where we kind of like bounce off of this 50-day moving average either today or tomorrow, and then ideally roll back over and break the 50-day moving average for some time before continuing higher. Or we can break it today and then eventually find some basing like we did under the 50-day moving average previously. Okay, let's take a look at the closer time frames on this. If you go to the 184-hour chart, all right, so there's a couple of levels we got to keep on watch here in the SPY. Okay, obviously one of them is the 407.15 area. Let's go look at the 407, just right here. Essentially the 407.15, 407.50 area is one area to watch. On top of that, we have some resistance at the 408 area, which we have to keep in consideration as well. But ultimately this 410, 412 area is going to be the big area that we have some major resistance at. Okay, so right here we could come up to this 408, 410 area, but ultimately this 412 area is going to be the resistance that we really need to get above in order to see clear waters again. All right, so sitting at some resistance right now, 407, 408 is going to be some resistance area on the SPY. But the key thing to kind of hold on to on the downside is that 403 level. Okay, so this 403 level right here is the area we kind of have to watch. Okay, if we break that again, we broke it simultaneously early in the early session today, but if we do break that 403 area, it does open us for a move down to the 400, and then the 398. All right, so the 398 is being right around here, which is our prior pivot high right here. We see some clear rejection right there, so that 398 can be in the works, and that 400 psychological number is also there if we do lose this 403 in today's session. Okay, so these are the kind of levels to watch here: 407, 412, and on the downside 403 and 398. Okay, only thing we can really do is watch these levels and kind of base our support and resistance and everything on what's going on in the market, based on these levels. Okay, that's where buyers are going to come in. That's this is where sellers are going to start selling. So these are levels everyone's watching, and these are levels that market makers are watching as well. Okay, so that takes care of the SPY. But let's go take a look at the SPY on the daily again, just to remind us where we are. I don't know what happened here. Oh, there we go. So again, just to remind us where we are, guys, we are sitting this pivot right here, 398, is going to be the last and vital area for us to kind of hold. And if we do hold that, we have this resistance at 403, but currently we're sitting at right under it, around the 408. Sorry, right around under the 407 area. and then coming up to here, we can clearly see there's congestion up here, right? So that's the area we need to kind of break above in order to see some clear waters, okay? So that's where we are on the daily chart. Now let's take a look at the QQQ, okay? And look at how the SPY was and how we are on the QQQ. So clearly there's more weakness on the Qs, right? And just basing it off of the levels on the daily, some areas that we need to look at that are going to be the make it or break it areas on the QQQ. Obviously this 307 area, 307.50, 307.40. This is going to be a vital area to kind of keep on watch. And as well as there's a volume profile at around 313 area, okay? And by volume profile, I mean that due to this big area of activity, this buying and selling that happened on the QQQ, this is the average volume price right here, okay? Volume point of control, I should say. This 313 is the volume point of control, and that's going to be a vital area on the Qs. And in the pre-market, it kind of bounced off of that area, and we'll take a look at it on a closer time frame here shortly, okay? So let's take a closer look at it. So here we are, all right? We came close to it. We've got some buyers here, and ultimately this is going to be the level for the Qs today, okay? So that 313 area that I mentioned, that volume point of control, if we lose that, it opens us up to 307. Which is going to be a vital area. We need to hold that level, because if we don't, we really have room to come down towards that 200-day moving average on the daily, which is not going to be ideal, okay? If we do hold this level, obviously we see, there's that 323 area right here, and the 320 is also going to be an area of rejection, which is right here. We can see some bouncing right here as well, okay? So this is going to be a 320, 323 is going to be the area we need to look at. And then ultimately we can get us up to this 324 area right here. Sorry, 324. Okay, so a major area that I'm looking at today is obviously to hold this 313 level, and then above that, if we can get above the 320, and then towards the 324. All right, let's take a look at the daily again. So again, look, big sell-off, right? Once we hit that 342, we came right down to here. Do expect this to kind of bounce here, because if we lose this 307, it's going to open us up to the 200-day moving average, and then we really got to decide, are buyers going to step up here? Because if not, we might roll over a little bit under that 200 moving average, and it might scare a bunch of people in the tech sector, and it's going to pull a bunch of names back under that 200-day moving average in the tech sector. That might be a little scary to kind of withstand in the shorter term. All right, now with that said, there's a couple of names that have made some moves here in the pre-market, obviously Tesla and NIO being one of them, but besides those two, there is BABA, okay? And I kind of want to address BABA here really briefly. We have BABA here. I'm going to go to the 1 day, 1 year chart. We can see that this area right here, bam, we bounced off of this area, right? We came back down, bam, bounced off this area, right? So here we are again, the 211.50, the 211.40 area is a vital area for the stock, right? We can clearly see it on the daily chart. We have support at these levels, and if we zoom into the closer time frame, I don't know why my TD is so slow today. If we zoom into the closer time frame, we'll see that BABA actually bounced perfectly off of that 211.40 area. What is this thing doing? There we go. So let's zoom in. Obviously, they reported earnings, but look at where that bounced, right? This level was, on my chart prior to the earnings even happening. Okay, so these levels that I keep mentioning to you guys, these levels are levels you guys need to constantly have on your chart. If you guys are trading, if you guys are looking at stocks to trade, you have to have these levels. They work on the daily, they work intraday, and as you can see, they work in the pre-market sessions as well. Support is support, whether it's pre-market or after hours or during market hours, right? We have clear bounce here at this 211 area today. After earnings, look where buyers stepped up. this is a clear area of some buyers or buying pressure because everyone is selling, and this is the next area of support on the daily where we're finding some buyers. Okay, so obviously if BABA decides to somehow lose this 211.40 211.50 area, it really opens it up for a move down. Right now, where's the next move down? We just have to look at the support and resistance areas. Now, obviously, this is a 1 year, 1 day chart. It's not giving us enough data under here. It is a little bit here, but I want to zoom out a little bit just to give you guys an idea of kind of what I look at and what I'm doing when I'm finding these support and resistance lines. Okay, so obviously this is the last line we have drawn, 211.43, and the next area of support we really find is in this range right here. Right, we have some support area right here between the 197 and 193, and that coincidentally happens to be around the 200 psychological number. Okay, again, I've said it before, support and resistance lines are ranges. You guys need to understand that and consider that when you're trading, right? So if we lose that 211.50 area at the market open, the chances of this coming down a few points at least is definitely there because we have a big hollow space right here, right? And I'll show you guys the same thing with AMD. We have this big area of pretty much no support and resistance happening right there. So that opens up BABA to a pretty wild spot. All right, and AMD pretty much the same thing. It's got a gap down. But again, that 73.87 on AMD ended up being some nice support, right? 73.87, it's got a big gap down here. And let's take a look at what happened in the pre-market. Look at that, 73.87, bam, it bounced right back up, right? And ultimately when it broke below that the other day, look how quickly buyers stepped up. So there's buyers here. Obviously it's evident that it's here as well. Okay, with that said, I'll go ahead and take some of your questions while you guys have it. I know you guys tune in here, so you can ask me a few questions about some of the tickers that you're watching. So go ahead and ask me some questions, and I'll address those as well. Good morning, Dally. Just waking up. You're a little late. So Joey's asking about PLTR. Let's pull up the chart, PLTR. So PLTR had this nice little falling wedge, broke out of it, kind of stayed on the outside of that wedge. On that earnings day, we had some huge buying pressure. This was, I guess, Wednesday. No, this was Tuesday. Tuesday, when everything gapped down, lots of stocks really started just ripping to the upside. There was a lot of buying pressure on those days. Here we are today, sitting around 1922. So again, an area of resistance on this stock right here is going to be that 2019 area, right? Why? Because we have a bounce here, we have some support here, and once we broke it, we kind of increased in selling volume. We came down, and we came really close to that prior support that I have in the pre-market before actually bouncing higher here. Okay, so 2020 is going to be the area of resistance on the stock right here, and it needs to kind of get back above it. It needs to get back above it, but again, this is coming down because the market is also coming down as well, right? I don't think that the stock needs to go back down to 0 or 1. I think it deserves to be at least within the $20 range, and the market is just really pulling it down. Okay, so ultimately, if we get back above the 2020 area, it could continue higher, but it needs to clear that first. 1604 is the next support, and then under that we have $11.40. Okay, so keep your eyes on those levels. If you guys are looking to invest in this thing long term, understand you got to start small, and add a little bit here, add a little bit of the next support, and add a little bit at the support at the bottom, but always give yourself ammo to pull the trigger when things pull down a little bit more. All right, Mahnaz is asking about Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. I don't know why this is taking so long to load. It's really weird. AQMS. Sorry guys, not sure why my TD is taking forever. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pull it up on my desktop and I'll talk to you guys through this. Hopefully this thing starts loading here. Tesla here on the daily. So Tesla's coming to that 200-day moving average, all right? That 200-day moving average is sitting at around 581 right now. Obviously, buyers stepping up again at this 570 level pre-market. Why is this not loading? Interesting. All right, you guys have to just hear me vocally here. Hopefully you have charts up because I'm going to talk about it. So again, it's touching that 200-day moving average. The last time Tesla touched the 200-day moving average, here we go. The last time Tesla touched the 200-day, oh great. The last time Tesla touched the 200-day moving average, it went on to make a, I think, 900% move, and that was back in March 2020, right before that market flash crash back in the COVID situation. All right, so here we are, just coming down here. 200-day moving average is sitting at around 581. It's a good entry for a long-term position if you want to nibble all these prices and give yourself again room to add. Right, there's clear institutional buyings that are happening at these prices. If you go look at Open Insider, you can see that there's institutional buyings happening on NEO. Lots of names, guys. Institutions are buying at these levels. So if you can start, I'm not saying when they buy that's the bottom. I mean, that's clearly evident with when Kathy Woods buys something, it just continues going lower. But just start small and give yourself enough ammo to buy if it goes lower. Don't go full shot into it. Not in this market. All right. APPS. I really like these guys as a company, and they've had great earnings. They've had a nice run up, and at this point, because we are under the short-term moving averages, this thing can't be a short-term trade. However, if you are trading it on the short term, it needs to get back above this 6150 area, and we can see a move towards that. The 20-day moving average probably would be around maybe 68 or 69 by the time we actually come up to it. Okay, short term, that could be a possibility because we've sold off so much. We have some 200-day moving average as support. Above that 6150, it could track back to here, but in the long term, again, you got to start averaging average pricing on this one as well. Start small, add towards the 50, and your next support area here. Obviously, we have some support right here at 48 and 45 area, and below that, you're looking at around $39, $40. Okay, so add small at every support line, and in a couple of years, I think APPS is going to do very well. Futu. Let's take a look at Futu. Come on. All right, I'm going to pull up Futu here. So we actually traded Futu sometime here. So right here, we have obviously the stock pulled down after a significant run under the 20 and the 50-day moving average, came back above it, failed to push above this resistance of 169, came back and found basing at around 120. Okay, now when we came up, rejected the 200, the 20 and the 50. The 120 area was going to be a prior support, right? Why? Because that opened up an area where we just constantly went up and there was no buying and selling happening, which gives it a gap essentially, right? So once that broke, it opened it up for an area to come down towards that 100, and yesterday it pulled down significantly, and I think we touched, what did we touch pre-market here? We touched 106 pre-market. Okay, so right now there is some buyers in this, and if we look at a closer time frame. Let's look at the 30-minute time frame. Here we are. So ultimately, again, this thing is going to have resistance at around the 122, 126 area. Until it clears that to the upside, it's going to be hard to have any short-term trades on this. Ultimately, ideally, this could pop up here, reject, and come back down and test that 100 area. If it's going to show strength, it should get up back above the 126, 130 area for it to continue higher. Let's see. Yeah, it really needs to get back above this area in order for it to continue to break that 138 and move any higher. In the short term, it's got lots of resistance up above, so you have to be careful with that. TRKA order set at 235. Any thoughts? TRKA. Let's take a look at TRKA. I don't like this at all. I don't know what the basis of 2035 is, or why you're putting orders at that level. It's a brand new chart. It's rejecting the 20-day moving average. If you go in at 2031, you have to have stops at 2011, which is the low of day, right, or low of the daily candle right here. Because if it breaks that, it can really easily roll over. See, ultimately, what you're doing is you're here, which essentially could be here, and you're buying it. And if it rolls over and breaks that prior low, it can fall over, right? So here you are. If it rolls over and breaks that 211, it can really fall over. There's no chart support on this. Not something I would do. Any thought on AQMS? Wait, I think you mentioned that before. AQMS, again, it looks like a bag holder chart. I don't know much about the company. If it's something that you find value in, make sure you understand what they do, what their financial is, and it's got to be a long-term hold. Thoughts on Twitter? All right, Twitter, just getting demolished. There's gaps all over the place on this thing now. It's tough. This chart is coming into support at around the 47.74 area. No clear pattern in it in the short term, but it does have support at 47. You could try a bounce trade off of this thing. It does have support at 47 area. You could try to kind of bounce it off of here, but I don't know. This chart is not something that I would trade. I don't see a clear pattern in it. This was the only pattern that I saw in Twitter back in April, and it broke out, failed to get out of this top line, this top pivot right here, rejected, and then with bad earnings, not even bad earnings, I think Twitter actually had good earnings. With good earnings, it sold off and gapped down. We couldn't find buyers ever since, right? So again, maybe something that you want to consider in the long term. In the short term, I don't see any trade in it. BNGO, coming into that major support at 390, which is also closer to the 200-day moving average. That's the area that you want to start kind of looking at for a bounce, and that's the area that it needs to hold. If it cannot hold this 390 area, opens it up for a big gap towards that 160, which is going to be trouble, because I know a lot of people are bag holding this and just praying. So I've always said, man, you got to take profits on the way up. If you're not taking profits and you bought it down here, shouldn't be trading. Just get out of the game. But ultimately, 390 stops if you're in it, because if it opens up, it's going to come down to 150. And you're going to be in a hell of a lot of trouble. If you haven't got in, don't touch it. It's not something that you should trade. FSR, same thing. The chart just looks like it's taking a beating. Support at around 1030. If you're not in, I wouldn't trade it. If you are in, you got to ask yourself, when did you get in? Because it made a nice run towards that $32 area. And if you tried to dip buy and it kept falling, ultimately you needed a plan. And if you didn't have one here, you are holding it at $10.33. The next support on this is around $8.70. Okay, so that 870 is the next support on it. There's really nothing in this chart that I would trade. Just below all moving averages, including the 200 moving average, and it's not something I'm really considering. There's potential downtrend earning coming in today. Yes, Disney broke support, so the downtrend potential is there with earnings coming out and the way earnings have been doing. I think this sells off. Unfortunately, I think it broke support, and it doesn't look like it's trying to even get back above it. Let's see. Yeah, 181 was the support that it broke yesterday, and it's pushing up towards it today. But it's opened up it's opened a pretty big area on the downside here on Disney. Right, we had this nice move up, support, 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 and then support just broke. So here we are, pretty aggressive close on that candle, and it really opens us up for at least a move down towards that 170, 168, and then ultimately the 159, right? But earnings is today or tomorrow, I believe. No, today. Earning is today. It can get pretty volatile there. All right, so we'll do Jemiah and Neo, and then that'll be it because I got to get back to the room. If you guys did tune in here, remember that I always do come in on Thursdays at around 8:30, and make sure you go ahead and smash that like button if you're here. So Jemiah, we had this huge falling wedge happening again on Tuesday. The market just took a beating, came down, and it got bought up pretty nicely here. So it's still back within that wedge, but ultimately we need to get back above that 25 area in order to retest the 20 and then move up. So just something with, a lot of tech coming down. This is obviously going to come down with it. This is not going to hold any more strength over, Tesla, Neo, or any other stronger name in the market. If they're all coming down, this one's going to come down with it. So again, a longer term for myself, and I'm getting clobbered on this name in the longer term account. However, I have separated the longer term and the shorter term, so I don't look at it. Neo. Neo, the $34 area was major support on this name. It did break it not too long ago, and we are currently right above that $34 in the pre-market here. So this 34.58 is going to be a vital area of resistance, and we're having trouble at this area. Okay, so this is what I was kind of afraid of. I told everybody that I'm worried about this pinch of the moving averages. They're kind of pinching us in this little between the 200 and the 20 and the 50. Once we got pinched there, we sold off. I really need this to start acting right and claiming back above. But ultimately, I'm still waiting to add to this on my longer term. Need to really decide what it wants to do. I would love to add at the 29.47 area, but I will be okay if this just continues to move back up. Okay, my average is pretty high on this still. So if it does pull to 29, even better, I'll add to it. If not, I just don't feel like I want to add again at the 34 level, because I added, I guess, on this day right here in March. It's longer term for me, so I'm not going to add at 34 again. If I add, it's going to be lower at around maybe 29.50. So I'm holding off on adding on Neo as of right now. Got to really see what I want to do. If it decides to take off without me, whatever, so be it. I already have stock in it, and it's going to move without me. But if it does pull, then it's the only time I'm going to add to this. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Again, remember, every Thursday I do come here at 8:30. Set your alarms. Be here every morning, and we'll do this, all right? Thank you guys all for tuning in. And if you have any questions, you can always shoot me a DM on Discord or TikTok, whatever the case may be, and I'll be able to answer it for you guys. All right? Have yourself a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys next week.